Hi Prahlad, thank you so much for being here. Today we are gathered in the shadow of a giant, Piyush Pandey, and our viewers are leaders who shape policy, move markets, and build companies. But you and Piyush, you both built something less tangible but more powerful. You built a culture. So, my first question to you is not about ads, it's about architecture. Prahlad, I remember you once told me that advertising is about creating culture with your sleeves rolled up. Piyush did it with Cadbury, you did it with Maggie. No matter how artisanal we are on Instagram, we always give a Cadbury celebrations box on Rakhi and Diwali. No matter which hill station we are on, we are always flocking at Maggie points. For a leader, Prahlad, this transition from being a hands on producer to shaper of an entire culture is notoriously difficult. So, this, Prahlad, is my first question to you. I want you to reflect on your work and Piyush's work and tell me what is the first thing a leader must stop doing, the first thing they must start doing so that their legacy is just not about building a brand or an institute but also about shaping a culture.
See, what both Piyush and me did was we were true to our roots. Piyush was very, very Hindified, and his mother tongue was Hindi. He dreamt in Hindi. Okay, I was very, very Anglicized, and I dreamt in English. But we were both characters cut from the same cloth in a different way, because though we might have been born from the same mother, we grew up in different sides of the country. And therefore, our familiarities were very different, our sophistications were very different. He was much more Indian than I can ever be. Okay? Because my kind of people are 2% of this country. His kind of people are 98% of this country. So, in terms of relevance, he was far more relevant in his idiom than I was. But I used to try very hard to try and look at the common man and what turns him on and remain honest. So, what both of us did was that at least we had a common platform, which is honesty. The honesty to ourselves and honesty to our roots. So, regardless of what work we did, it reflected. You could make out my work from Piyush's work immediately because of the idiom of the cultural roots, that the difference that we came from. And in both our ways, we were trying to be relevant to the Indian consumer, because we were trying to be honest, we were trying to be funny, we were trying to be quirky, and a lot of us ourselves went into ads. So you could recognize Piyush through his ads, you could recognize me from my ads.
That's true. Prahlad, you spoke about being honest and being true to your roots. And but you know what happens, Prahlad, in today's data-centric world and metric-dominated boardrooms, it's very difficult to follow that gut, follow that intuition. Like when Piyush sold Cadbury, that line, "कुछ खास है जिंदगी में असली स्वाद
Yeah.
जिंदगी का." It was rebellious. When you told Pepsi that, oh, you're not the official drink of World Cup, don't worry, we'll wear it as a badge of honor. Pepsi, nothing official about it. We'll sign Sachin, we'll sign Dravid, but we'll make Shah Rukh bat. So those kind of ideas, selling them in a boardroom requires lot of conviction. And today, when there's so much data and everybody is looking at spreadsheets, such voice of conviction, such voice of intuition and gut is being drowned out. So I want you to ask, what I
See,
want you to tell
it's
me.
more difficult for people who follow their gut and themselves to actually be heard today in today's clatter.
Yeah, so
But
how
the
do
fact is
you
that also the people who have the gut don't have enough conviction to be able to walk away. At the end of it, the difference between Piyush and me was that we were ready to walk away from a job. which is the only real distinction between believing and being swayed. So if money became a consideration and you said, I'm going to lose this job and therefore I'm going to lose money, and you compromise your gut and your instinct and your truth for that, then it's compromised. So today, in today's milieu or in today's atmosphere, nobody is so passionate about the work that they can walk away from money.
I want you to take a today's CEO inside a moment of tension when the data was ambiguous, the client was nervous, and the safe choice was on the table. And I want you to tell me what specific language you or Piyush used to defend an idea that was unsafe.
See, like when they asked Piyush, why would any Indian woman behave in this really behuda manner by dancing across the street, across the ground in full public domain? How are you writing it in a script? He says she might not do it for various social constraints, but that doesn't stop her from dreaming about it. So advertising is all about aspiration. It's not about absolute fact. Absolute fact is that people will then be miserable in their life because they're already miserable. So entertainment and advertising are the few little glimmers of hope that they're given because everything depends on hope. Do you hope for a better tomorrow? Dil mange mo. If that catchline worked, it worked because everybody dreams of a better tomorrow. Nobody is happy with the status quo. Now, clients sometimes don't understand that. They feel that no, what is true has to be shown. So an Indian woman is not going to go jumping across the cricket fields and dancing wildly, because her boyfriend hit a six and give him a Cadbury bar. She said, how are you going to relate this to the real Indian woman? So you told them that every Indian woman has a dream. How do you know what she's dreaming? So today, she might not be able to do it. Tomorrow, she will. But that free-spiritedness that Cadbury's ad actually shows is the ichha of every Indian woman. So she still didn't buy it. So he got up and said, okay, I'm leaving. And said, no, come back. Why are you leaving? Why are you so angry? We're just discussing this. He said, because you don't trust me. You don't recognize my professionalism. And you don't understand that I know my country better than you do.
So, according to you, the best way to stand by one's conviction in a boardroom is having the courage to walk away
From the money.
from the money. Okay.
So it's a battle between passion and money. So if your passion is so great that you believe implicitly in what you're doing, and if your logical arguments do not convince your client, then there are only two ways to do it. Either walk away like Piyush did, and sometimes I did, but do it twice. Shoot everything twice, the way you want to and the way they want. So for me in my earlier career, because I had no credibility, I was just one of Shyam Benegal's slaves. I had to actually turn around and stop arguing after a while because it became irritating and frustrating. So I said, fine, I will do it your way. And went onto my set and did it both ways. And showed it to them and said, see, what do you prefer? So, of course, everybody wanted to save face, including the agency. So they said, oh, we like your version, but we'll use a little bit of ours and a little bit of yours and make a third word. I said, nothing doing. You either take the first one or you take the second one. You're not going to make a mishmash of the two. That is where the sticking point is for us. It's very upset. I was extremely unpopular for that.
I think that was the case with Aishwarya Rai's ad also.
Not really. With Aishwarya, we didn't give him a choice.
Okay.
We looked for over 2 months, and then when I finally found her, I took her and showed them to her. But to them, and they said, "Wow!" And then they said, "Now next," because everybody gets a choice of 5 girls, which to select from. And I said, "There's no next. They don't make them in twos."
True.
They were very upset that I didn't give them a choice. They said, "You mean this is it?" I said, "Is she enough?"
She is. Prahlad, another very interesting thing that I've noticed about you and Piyush is that you were rivals, which is not a big thing. We all have rivals, people we compete with for the same opportunities, whose work we look at and say, oof, I wish I would have done that. But in corporate, such rivalry or competitiveness leads to silos and defensiveness. That's where both of you were different, if not unique, because I have seen you have genuine admiration, genuine respect for each other's work. And this is something I want you to share today, that what was that internal mindset that you had that made you create this rivalry, something that fuels your creative brilliance. I want you to share the mindset that a CEO today can use to so that the competition within his executive team doesn't become toxic.
See, when you are insecure about who you are culturally, and you are belittled for who you are culturally. So at one time, advertising was completely English speaking. I was very comfortable in it because there were people like PLUs, people like us, as we call them. Okay. Piyush must have found it very tough. Because though he was a experienced colleague, he knew English just as well as anybody else did. He dreamt in Hindi. So he was a different animal. So they used to look down on him and say that, you're a language copywriter. You're not premium. You're not English speaking. You're not English dreaming. So he must have had to battle that conviction for a long time about how the system was. So what he did was the best thing in the world. He changed the system by proving that he was right all the time. With every success in his work, he proved that Hindi was the language of the people and the vernacular and not English. Though we conducted our business in English, that isn't the language that we dreamt it. And he convinced me of that as well. So I suddenly said, I was floundering around with my English background and Bertie Wooster and P.G. Woodhouse and all that. And I said, that's completely irrelevant. I better start getting rooted. So I started spending a lot of money, a lot of time in villages. I started traveling to small places and living with people and figuring out exactly what was different about them and us. So for me, the journey was the reverse, which was to learn my roots. For him, his journey was to teach his roots to everybody else. So at some point, we came to a meeting point where we looked at each other and said, I'm very secure in who I am. I like who I am. I don't want to change too much. And I love what I do. And when you have that kind of an attitude, then you allow for mentorship. You allow our people to grow under you. You don't stifle them. You allow people to compete with you and sometimes exceed you. And not resent it, but feel proud of it. Because they are part of you. They have grown up from the same fabric. They've come from the same background. You've influenced their lives and touched it in an indelible way. So whatever he does in life later or she does in life later, you have very much a credit line under it. Being a product of the hard knocks of the school of Prahlad Kakkar.
True.
So that's why Genesis or Piyush's, what you call prodigies, are actually a clan. They're a tribe. They go beyond just a little piece of paper saying I trained with Piyush Pandey or I trained with Prahlad.
And they don't find anything that you did toxic. Like I remember there was this Bollywood actor. He once told me, I was interviewing him and he said, okay, what are you doing afterwards? I said, I'm meeting Prahlad. Oh, Prahlad, send him my hi. I said, you know him? He said, yeah, I interned with him. He once made me clean bathroom with a toothbrush and my eyes popped out. I was like, don't laugh like this. He said, no, it was fun. I learned and this and that. He, like, I cannot believe today if a boss does that in HR, what will happen and what will be the repercussions of it. But that actor has genuine love for you. I've seen that. And for him, that story was something again, something he felt a lot of pride in sharing that I cleaned a bathroom with a toothbrush. So,
Correct. Because he learned so much from it. Actually learned the difference between a bathroom and bathroom which a man never knows. Doesn't understand that a men's toilet is a stand and deliver toilet. A lady's toilet is a full contact toilet. They are anal about the hygiene. Because women in this country don't touch a toilet seat outside of their homes. So in an office, when you provide them with the cleanest toilet seat that you can get, they are more than grateful. They are loyal to ferocity. That somebody has been sensitive enough to understand what really matters is a clean toilet. Very few management people actually understand this. That to retain female employees and to reward them, you give them the cleanest toilet that money can buy. They'll be forever grateful. Because they have to face toilets all over the bloody country. They can't touch them. They hover 6 inches above the toilet, like a helicopter. So, when I used to teach my young boys, listen, you have to be detailed with the toothbrush. I'm giving you the toothbrush because it will go into crevices which normal cloths don't go into. So they say, why? It's because they will check that. Because that is how women are. They anal about the hygiene. And sure enough, the women will come and inspect the bathroom after they cleaned it and say, rubbish. They haven't cleaned it. Because they say, but there's nothing. I have to look at it. You can run. You lift the toilet seat, take that magnifying mirror, which they use to pluck the eyebrow, put it inside the commode, and look at the rim from outside, from inside. And so, what do you clean? आप लोगों ने तो सिर्फ देखा था कि क्लीन किया है ना जो नहीं दिख रहा वो तो थोड़ी क्लीन किया है what really matters is the rim so they woke up so what it taught them was other than humility it taught them the fact that detail God is in the detail and women are far more naturally inclined to detail than men are.
So, Prahlad, this empathy that you talk about, that a leader having for his team, like, maybe, whether it's providing cleaner toilets to female employees, this empathy and like the laughter you and Piyush both had in your teams, it is always sidelined as a soft skill. However, you and Piyush have built brands that have flourished commercially, built on empathy, built on joy, built on laughter. So
Built on joy is what
joy.
you enjoy your work. So when trainees came to us in the beginning, I said, see, I'll give you 6 months to decide whether you want to spend your rest of your life doing this. There's no harm in saying, I'm not suited for it. Because it requires a special kind of animal to be in advertising or an advertising film. There's a dedication beyond the call of duty, beyond rational, beyond money. So if you are committed to that, you'll always be great in your profession. If you are doing it for money, or if you're doing it for fame, or if you're doing it for stability, then you're in the wrong profession.
I agree. So there is a psychologist Erickson, he said that the major challenge of mid career is generativity, that is, nurturing the next generation. Either you start nurturing the next generation or you will become stagnant. And this is something you and Piyush did. However, today, many leaders they fear mentoring strong because they feel that they might get replaced by the shiny new thing. But you and Piyush were not like this. You, what was that practical pact that you made with yourself that made you overcome this fear of self-preservation and bring long-term resilient institutions?
No, see, what I learned was in my profession, and so did Piyush in his own way, was that this is a profession for young people with bright minds and prolific creative ideas jumping out their skin. Not meant for tired old people. Okay? So when we became tired old people, how the hell do we going to remain young? The only way to be young was to learn from your mentors, your mentees. So we surrounded ourselves with young people and guarded them and mentored them and protected them because they were so valuable to us. We learned from them how to be young. We only taught them a craft. We taught them a passion. We shared a passion. We taught them a craft. We taught them detailing. But they taught us how to be young. Now, which is more valuable? I mean, how do you learn to remain young eternally? And my greatest tragedy of Piyush dying at the age that he died is because he was the youngest person in the profession. Mentally, he was like a child.
True. Let me know if I understood it correctly. So I see this trend today, not just in female leadership, but also in male leadership. Lot of investment going in gym memberships, hair transplant, fillers, everything to be young, youthful, because they think when you cross a certain age, you might become irrelevant. And what you are saying is that to be young and youthful, the best way to do is to become a mentor and then learn from your mentees.
Correct.
And that's how
Because,
you stay
because
relevant.
the biggest reward is remaining young.
So mentoring is not a charitable thing, a nice to do thing, but it's important for your own relevance,
Your own growth
for your own growth.
as a professional and being relevant in an age which is changing so fast that change is the only constant. If you can't keep up with the change, but keeping abreast of the youngsters and being competitive with them as well at the same time, then you're dead. You're on the shelf. You're finished. If you're post 40, you're dead. That's why boards of companies that were post 40 died instantly the moment the world came to digitization. Kodak, Ericsson, Nokia. These are world leaders. They were $1 billion companies. And they died, and today nobody even asks about it. Why? Because they couldn't cope with the change. Because the board of directors were all plus 40 and fuddy-duddy and didn't want to be in the mainstream of change. They didn't want to be thrown into the business of the relearning, unlearning, and relearning all over again. They just avoided that because that's what old people do. They hate unlearning.
True.
So if you are going to be relevant till the age of 70 and 75, in a very young, what you call world, which is growing younger by the day, and the change is more and more rapid, you better start walking the walk and talking the talk.
Speaking of talking the talk, there is this ad world folklore that once a young executive got Janmashtami Asian Paint ad to Piyush, and it was a picture of Krishna with the tagline "Mera Wala Blue," and Piyush changed it to "Meera Wala Blue" and never took the credit. And I remember asking him about it. He just looked at me in such disbelief and like, what? What will I take credit for? What did I do? I just changed one matra, I did it all. the whole lot of work. And again, this is very different, like very rare in today's ego-driven leadership. So I want to understand from you that what is the core difference between a leader who hoards all the credit versus one who multiplies the legacy.
It's basically insecurity. And if you want to see, if you want to live through your mentees, after all, how do you become immortal? Why is Piyush today going to be immortal? Why does his legacy continue? As long as his mentees do well in life, everybody turn and say, this is a Piyush prodigy.
True.
So he will live forever. By hoarding all the credit, how is he going to allow his mentees to grow and take his name forward? It's like your children. Your children finally take your name forward. No? So every mentee is like an extension of your family. So their success is your success. That is the difference between my success is my success and their success is their success. Your success lies in their success. And as long as you understand that, you will always give them credit. Because that gives them confidence. It allows them to grow. They don't feel resentful. And they will always come and look at you and hug you and say, thank you so much for setting me up.
So when we talk about not hoarding credit and multiplying legacy, it is not about your quarterly report, but more about your obituary, how things are going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like on my obituary, it's going to be written, men who cook get laid more often than men who pump iron.
I remember the first thing that you showed me in your house was kitchen. No, first thing was library, second
Yes.
was kitchen.
Correct.
And yeah, even in all your offices you have kitchen.
Always had a kitchen. It was the center of my office.
Yes.
Offices that eat together, stay together, grow together.
Yeah, I've seen that. Even in Lekka dives, first there is
Yes.
kitchen, then there is rest
Yes,
of
sir.
it.
Everything else.
So Prahlad, what I really liked about Piyush's work and your work is that it was very human. It was very messy and soulful. Like your,
So it is vulnerable. See, the
yeah,
most important thing is vulnerable.
thank you for saying that. Because,
Yeah,
you talk about Piyush, you see that mustache.
yes.
So tell me a vulnerable side of it and how it was actually strength.
Piyush was so vulnerable because it mattered to him to matter to his consumers. It mattered. It wasn't good enough if the client approved the copy and it was out of the way. It mattered to him what happened to the ad, how the response was, what the feedback was, and how many years later did it still test time? Did that communication stand the test of time? It mattered to him. He was very vulnerable.
And I remember you also had this Pepsi ad in which, when everything is beautiful and gorgeous, you had those marginalized little boys from Bandra play cricket around a tree.
Yes.
And when Sachin comes, they say, Hiya, Sachin. And I don't think they were aware that Sachin is going to be a.
No, they weren't. We deliberately kept Sachin away because we knew they were not actors.
Yeah.
And the expression that I got from them was worth $1 million. It's priceless.
Yes, and that kind of content, Prahlad, we are not seeing today. Like with AI, creating content is so easy, but there is this synthetic mediocrity around us. How should
There's a mediocrity allowed because it's pre-thought and pre-digested.
pardon?
It's pre-thought and pre-digested.
Can
There
you
is no
elaborate?
spontaneity in it. You must have the courage of conviction to change the script in mid-shoot.
But that costs.
Of course it
One
costs.
day from
But that's the conviction you have. Like you changed the girl from running onto the field to dancing on the field. That was done on the spot.
okay,
But it made such a huge difference
true.
to the film. He just took it from message to magic. So if you don't have a bit of magic in each one of your work, why would people remember it?
How can we do that? If there is, reflecting on Piyush's life or your work, if there is one core principle that you think every leader should institutionalize in their organization to ensure that what they are not just communicating to the clients but also connecting with the consumers.
No, connecting is more important than communicating.
How? What principle can ensure that? Like how can
Spontaneity.
it's so difficult? Everything is so control metric optimized these days.
Yeah, that is why it's so rubbish. Which is why channels are saying that we will take the ads off, you will pay us extra. Can you imagine?
I know. Even in OTTs.
Yeah, you can watch the what you call ads, or you can watch a program without ads and pay extra. People are willing to pay extra not to watch ads. Can you imagine? At one time, people only watch ads.
Yes.
So there's a huge difference. The difference is essentially in the way we do business. Because the business of magic is passion. The business of commerce is premeditated.
So looking forward, like when I look at this is going to be my last question. So when we look at the next decade, I want you to share something from Piyush's core philosophy that can be an antidote to this synthetic mediocrity.
Never be afraid of failing. Learn from it. Be vulnerable. Carry your heart on your shoulder. Never protect yourself from being having failed, because you never fail as long as you don't admit it. So fear of failure is the biggest anthem today in today's kids. Is that they're so scared of failing that they refuse to succeed.
How to overcome that? I know because people procrastinate because they have
Yeah,
failure.
they procrastinate. They don't take decisions. They pass the blame. For Christ's sake, be a little more passionate about life. Your whole appetite for life changes with risk. Risk is what provides you the adrenaline. The adrenaline gives you the high. Why do you think we do? I do so many sports, like scuba diving, like sky jumping, like all that, because I'm hooked on adrenaline. I need that kick. I need the risk.
Thank you, Prahlad. Thank you so much for talking to us. I hope it will instill, bring back the passion and spontaneity.
No, no, leadership. Leadership is not about credit.
It's not about
Credit. Leadership is about allowing your prodigies to go better than you. So when you hire somebody who can do better than you can. You don't hire somebody who will constantly be under you. So your life on earth is so limited, as we can see. You live through the people you touch and teach and guide and protect. That is your life. And it's not about taking credit.
true. I mean, I'm very happy you said that because this philosophy that you just shared is almost Kantian. And we live in a Machiavellian world, but through your
No,
work.
that's because of insecurity. I said the basic problem is you don't believe in yourself. Because you don't believe in yourself and you're scared of failing because you'll get stigmatized by it, you'll never grow out of it. You're constantly taking everybody else's work and claiming it as your own.
True. True, but that's why I'm happy you shared it, because through your work, through Piyush's work, you have modeled that one doesn't always need to be a horrible boss. There is a model of
I
leadership
was
that
a
is,
horrible boss when it came to work.
yeah, but
The
people didn't mind it.
horrible taskmaster. I used to punish people in all kinds of strange ways, like make them clean the toilet and all that sort of shit. You know, but it was always a learning. It was
Yeah, he
not
didn't
just a
mind it.
punishment.
That actor, he was happy about it.
Yeah, of
He
course.
told me like it's the
When
greatest
they
story of his
realize
life.
what they've learned from that, they're very proud to turn on clean toilets in Prahlad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And everybody else is horrified.
I was.
Yeah. What do you mean? You made you do that? What a horrible boss.
But still, that horrible act came from a place of empathy with
So it
towards
came
just
from
people.
teaching, from exchanging experiences. From sometimes by verbalizing an experience, you cannot teach it. You have to make them go through it. So for men to be sensitive to women's toilets, they have to understand what a woman's toilet is all about. Then at least his marriage will be okay.
We started with creating culture of legacy and ended up with saving marriages.
Correct. Because if you sensitize men to what is important to women, which are not six packs and dollars, then we have much happier relationships.
I agree. Thank you, Prahlad. Thank you so much for the chat.
You're welcome. Kirti, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.